I want to do another section on this book talk as well called TBR, which stands for To Be Read. So I want to just share with you some books that have been on my to-read pile. I just haven't had time to read them yet. I will give you an overall summary of them, tell you why I'm interested in them, and then maybe some of you will get the chance to read them over the holiday. So the first book that has been on my to-be-read TBR pile is The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. So this is a new series. It's going to be, I can't remember the name of the series, but it is the first book. I think it's Dreadful Tales series. Anyway, it's the first book in what's going to be a series, and I am actually dying to read this book. It's about a boy named Prosper Redding, and he thinks that there is nothing remarkable about him. It turns out, though, that not only is he remarkable, he has a 4,000-year-old demon living inside of him. A long time ago, his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or something like that made a pact with this demon named Alistair. So Alistair is the name of the demon who's living inside Prosper Redding. Made a pact with Alistair and then broke that pact. Alistair the demon is now living inside of Prosper. He is trying to take over his body, and he's also just trying to ruin the whole family. I like spooky books, but I also like fun books. So I thought if you're combining those, that could be a really good read. I'll book talk it once I've read it, but if anybody wants to pick it up and read it first, I would really love to hear your opinion about it. The next book is The Adventures of a Girl Called Bicycle, and that's by Christina Us. So we've got an introverted girl. Her name is actually Bicycle. She's lived most of her life in a place called the Mostly Silent Monastery in Washington, D.C. So that would be in the U.S. Her guardian, somebody named Sister Wanda, announces that Bicycle is going to attend a camp where she's going to make some friends. Bicycle's not really having that. She says, no way, and she decides that she's going to go off on her bike, and her bike actually has a name. Her bike's name is Clunk. So she and Clunk take off for San Francisco, where she is hoping to meet her idol, who is a very famous bicyclist, and she firmly believes that this famous cyclist is going to be her first real friend. Again, I haven't read it, but apparently during this journey, she discovers that there's a ghost who is haunting her handlebars. She has to contend with bike-hating dogs, a bike-loving horse, a bike-crushing pig, and a mysterious lady dressed in black. I'm also just fascinated by the idea of this bike journey that she and Clunk are going to take to San Francisco, so I really want to read about that and find out how that goes. I'm also drawn to, it's got a little element of fantasy in it because I mentioned that there's a ghost in the handlebars, and so I am drawn to this genre of adventure fantasy. I haven't read that many adventure fantasy books lately, so it's just something that I think is going to be a bit different. Then I have this book called The List by Patricia Ford. So The List takes place in a post-apocalyptic world in a city called Ark. It's actually a literal Ark because global warming has caused so much flooding that much of the world is actually extinct. And so there is somebody who builds an ark, and now everyone's living on it, and it is actually a city, and its name is Ark. The main gist is that speech is now constrained to only 500 words, 500 permitted words. If you speak outside of the 500 permitted words, you can face terrible punishments or even banishment. The only exceptions to this is a wordsmith and his apprentice named Letta, and they are the keepers and the archivers of language. So Letta is the apprentice, and she uncovers a sinister plan to suppress language and rob the citizens of Ark of their power of speech. And she realizes that it's up to her to basically save the world and culture. I want to read it because, well, for obvious reasons. I'm an English teacher. Hello, I love language. I love vocabulary. I like dystopian books. So when there's a dystopian book that talks about, language and speech suppression, I'm there for it. It's gotten some really good reviews. The reviews say it has really engaging writing and it's got some very well developed characters. So I'm excited to read it and see. 500 Minutes of Danger and 400 Minutes of Danger. These are the Jack Heath books. And I've seen these just kind of around in the library, and I really want to read them because they just sound like they are going to be fun and exciting books. So short stories. So each one has 10 short stories, and I love short stories. And I love short, exciting stories. So 10 short stories with 10 dangerous situations, 10 kids, and each one has 50 minutes, 50 minutes, and I'm assuming 40 minutes, obviously. I just read the types of stories that are inside of them. For example, in this one of the stories is about a boy named Bobby who wakes up somewhere dark and enclosed. Has he been buried alive? This one of the stories is about Cherith. Cherith takes the wheel of an out-of-control bus after an explosion to find that there are no brakes. So I am dying to read these. If you like short stories and you like just, on the edge of your seat, exciting stories, I think you're going to love those. So then I've got Jinxed by Amy McCulloch. And this is also going to be a series. This is the first book. I can't get that. This is the first book of a series. It's set in a futuristic world where robotic animals called Bakus, okay, so they're robotic animals, and they take the place of smartphones. So instead of if you need a new phone, instead of going and getting a smartphone, you are now going to get this robotic animal called a Baku. And it's sort of the latest must-have accessory. So the main character is a girl named Lacey, and she dreams of working for a tech company, the tech company that actually makes the Bakus. In order to do that, though, she has to get into a very exclusive school called the Perfectus Academy. Unfortunately, she can't afford to go to the school, so she doesn't. I don't know if she doesn't get accepted or she can't go just because she can't afford it. But it's not a possibility for her until she meets Jinx. And Jinx is a Baku who seems more real than all the other Bakus. And she meets Jinx, and Jinx basically changes her life. I appreciate the fact that it has a lot of STEM aspects to it. There's a lot about engineering and technology and robotics. There aren't a lot of books that really feature that outside of, like a dystopian. That, to me, draws me to this book. I've heard that it has a fantastic cliffhanger because it is going to be a series, and I love a good cliffhanger. So I really want to see how that ends. City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. It's a ghost book, so again, if you like paranormal stories, which I do, then you should be interested in this. It's about a girl named Cass, and she can see ghosts after she has a near-death experience, after which a ghost named Jacob rescues her. So she becomes really good friends with this ghost named Jacob after he saves her life. And because of this connection with Jacob, she can kind of see past the veil of the human world into the realm of the dead. And basically she can see all the ghosts that are stuck there. But her parents are also ghost hunters. And her parents get the chance to do a television show in Scotland in one of the most haunted places in the world. Cass goes with them, and she realizes that not all ghosts are as friendly as Jacob, and she apparently meets a really evil ghost. I would really like to read this book because I love ghost books. I love paranormal books. And again, just like with The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding, I think it sounds both spooky and fun. And those are books that I really enjoy reading. This last book I'm going to quickly talk about is called Wolf Wilder, and this one Dr. Toms actually recommended to me. So I didn't know anything about it until I spoke to her. But she says it's a fantastic book that she really recommends. It's about a girl named Feodora who lives in Russia in the forest with her mother, and her mother is a wolf wilder, which is the opposite of a wolf tamer. So an animal wilder takes tame animals and teaches them how to be wild animals. So it teaches the wolves how to fend for themselves, how to fight, how to run, basically how to be very wary of humans. So that's what they're doing. And then the army comes. I'm not 100% clear on the details, but the army comes and kind of threatens Feodora and her mother's existence, and so they have to go on a run with these wolves. So it's an adventure story. It's an adventure animal story. So those are always interesting to read, and I'm going to be checking this out as soon as I can. This is the end of my TBR list. I always have a TBR list though, so next book talk, hopefully I'll have more to share with you. But if any of you get the chance to read any of these books, if you feed back to me, I would really love it. If you want to do your own video book talk about these books with me, I would love it. And you just get in contact with me and we'll make it happen. So thanks. The books that are coming from the middle school fiction collection in this book talk, you can find on this display up in the middle school section over in the corner by the windows. The books that are coming from the high school fiction collection, I have put downstairs on the first floor of the library on one of these book displays. And these book displays, I just want to let you know, if you're not aware of them, about once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on how much time I have. But at least once a month, I swap out the books and I really go through both the middle school and high school fiction collections. Some of them are new arrivals. Some of them I just go through the collections and try to pick out books that I want to highlight because I think they would actually be really interesting to a variety of students. So if you have been in the library but have walked past these displays, or if you're somebody who doesn't necessarily come to the library on a regular basis, I would love to just invite you to pop in and just take a look at the books on these two display tables, read the blurbs. I really think if you do, you'll be able to find something that sounds interesting to you. So please, by all means, come on in and check them out.